Nice little intro. Relax it.
Welcome to Louisiana Heartbeats. I'm Sudie Landry, and once more, we have someone with us today that we have a whole lot to talk about. I'd like to welcome Ellen Threets. She has different titles, but we're going to label her today as the mental health technician, one of the employees of Abbeville General Hospital, who we want to boast about a little bit.
Yes.
And welcome to the show, Ellen.
Thank you, Sudie.
I am so excited to have you here. There's so many sides to you. I'm gradually finding out a little bit. And Katie Anna will let you know what that other story is going to be in a few minutes. But right now, what you're doing, Ellen, is so important. And the guest before you also had a desire to help people in her way. She was also a registered nurse, talking about her outreaches and what she volunteered to do. And it was amazing how you're so different, but yet so much alike in those areas. Registered nurse going to part-time work, to do volunteer work, to do home health care work. Hey.
That's a busy woman. That's a
Isn't that
dedicated
amazing?
woman.
Well, as I was reading a little bit about what you were about, this Behavioral Medicine Center, wow, you have a huge staff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we are a staff of about 300, and Abbeville General has been in existence for 50 years, and actually 2 years ago they celebrated their 50th anniversary, having been in existence, serving the Vermilion Parish all that time.
It's about time to hear something great happening in Abbeville. Each town has different things going on in our areas, but it's so nice when we can come on this show and share with people good things, positive things, and what you're doing right there is so needed. I noticed in the little write-up that I was able to pull up with my new laptop that I would even learn how to increase so I could read it. But I want to say that in between pulling it up, I was amazed just what different hospitals offer. And so with you saying that, okay, as a technician, what do you actually do?
Well, basically, and as our physician at the hospital, well, specifically, he's the medical director, but he's the lead psychiatrist at the Behavioral Medicine Center, Dr. Kraft. He encourages us to be the eyes and the ears, not only for him, but for the nurses and for the social workers. So basically, we are direct care with the patients.
That's amazing.
Whereas it's, we do everything from vital signs to lead community groups to do activity therapists. We're kind of the backbone for, again, the nurses, because nurses now have so much paperwork and they're flooded with so much unable time to spend with the patients.
You're a big asset.
That's where the mental health tech comes in.
How does a person, now I'm asking for a reason, because I do have a sister that's gone through systems in North Louisiana. How does a person come about being referred to the specialty area like this? Does a doctor recommend them, or do they automatically sign them in? How do you go about being a patient in care of the Behavioral Medicine Center?
Well, again, the Behavioral Medicine Center stands for, and we specialty care with patients who are afflicted with mental illnesses.
Yes.
Whether it's schizophrenic, whether it's bipolar, depression, drug and alcohol abuse. So they've reached their rock bottom. They're in an insecure place, and that facility is responsible for keeping that person safe and monitoring them until they're able to cope, recover, and move on to the next phase of their life.
Another place of hope. I am so grateful for people like you who want to be a part of that and have the heart to do it. And not just recently, I mean, being the president of the Writers Guild of Acadiana, I met you through that organization, which we will talk a little bit more about that later. But you were so quiet. But when you finally started saying something, I said to my friend next to me, I said, boy, she is one intelligent lady. Then we started going out, and you were everywhere at the book signings and whatever events we were having, and you began to be like magnified, and we began to watch you and say, there's more to that lady. And now I'm finding out that among all your talents, which, is going to be an asset in so many ways. Okay, so how long have you been working? Let's talk about this.
Well,
how long have you been?
I've been at Abbeville General for 15 years. Actually, I've been there for 16 years, but the hospital recognizes their employees for service of multiples of 5s.
Okay.
So on my 6th anniversary, I was commended with a pin in recognition of 5 years, 10 years, and now 15 years. And we had a great banquet held at
Just recently.
Just recently, maybe like not 2 weeks ago,
Maybe
if
so.
my time is correct. And they served us. We took pictures. We had lovely layout of food and drinks. And
How did you feel? Were you blessed?
Were
you honored?
I was
Were you
grateful.
shocked?
I was honored. And at the same time, that morning before, I was a little hesitant and I had some emotions pinning up because I met my husband at that place of where I work now.
Okay.
And so it was kind of a clash of surprise, gratefulness, and joy, knowing that
Wow.
we met there and I'm continuing to work there, and, having compassion, little common sense, a good spirit. And since you mentioned, me being quiet,
Yeah.
there was an aunt of mine by marriage who spoke, "Oh yeah, y'all gotta watch out, Ellen. It's always the quiet ones you have to watch."
I've always heard that.
Yeah, that was my Aunt Ruby, and that makes sense now because I think there are a lot of people that are quiet, subdued, sullen, but it doesn't mean that that's where their heart is.
Well, I'm on the flip side of
They're
that.
just chilling. They're just relaxing.
I have another translation that fits me. And yes, I've heard of that. But also, too, according to my grandmother, sometimes we need to tune in and tune out. In other words, listen instead of broadcasting. She'd say, Sudie, time for you to tune in instead of broadcast. And that's a good way of saying you need to listen. So you see, I'm out there and I'm talking, but I'm also listening because with being a retired hairdresser, you learn to do all of that. So, but the quiet ones, I go up to you, and I know there's more to that story, and there is. Wow, we got to be able to talk about it. Okay, and also Dana Judice, I'm plugging him because he's another author.
Yes.
And he was so shy, and he's standing in the back of the room, still does. He accepted, as you know, the vice president, but it's taken him 2 years of me running after him like a dog with a bone. There's more to the story. Finally, he admitted he had children's stories. What did I think? And I had been blessed to read these stories, one of them, before he even published it. So now he's cranking them out fast. You heard that? So I'm excited that God has just put me into the Writers Guild to meet wonderful people like you and other people. I mean, we're talking about musicians, we're talking authors, I mean, even movie producers. So with that said, going back to your job, okay, that was National Hospital Week.
Yeah, last week was National Hospital Week and is observed throughout the country. And basically, between human resource and the volunteers at the hospital, they find different activities for us. Like the Friday, for instance, was Ice Cream Sunday. So a little after 2 o'clock, all the managers, they served all the employees
Wow. Sounds
Ice
like
cream.
you have a wonderful working atmosphere.
Ice Cream Sundays.
Wow.
The Monday we got our tickets, meal tickets. We get 5 free meal tickets to go to eat at the Abbey Cafe. Tuesday was Sunglass Day, where you wear your weirdest, best sunglasses that you can think of. Hat Day was the Wednesday, where instead of the normal baseball
Wow.
cap, which usually most people would wear the baseball cap, but that Wednesday people could wear any kind of hats they wanted.
You do that once a year.
Once a year. And during that same week, we played bingo. Basically, they called out numbers. We had the little bingo cards distributed to everyone. And as the numbers were called, 10 winners were
Wow.
picked.
Sounds like you are having a fantastic
Yeah.
time working with a job that you have the passion and the heart to work with, and getting awarded and having fun too. I know it's a lot of work, but it comes time for play too.
Yeah,
Playtime.
there's always a time, I believe, if you can't have a little fun at work, it's not worthy of.
Right. I had someone almost let it slip who it was close to my family. How do you know when it's time to leave a job? when it's not fun anymore. If you are really, and she retired from her job, I didn't realize, but when you love something and you have such a passion, it's time for a new season. It's like, it's not over. You just may go into doing something else different. And with me, Ellen, I've always come from a family of storytellers, and found out later in life there were many authors in my family that I did not know was there, because I was with a split family, blended family, foster family, so it took years for me to gather any kind of positive history about me and my family. But was I amazed once I found out where the roots come from? So that gave me joy, which I was bringing up. Joy, when you enjoy what you're doing and you know you're making a difference in someone's life, even if you may not have an easy day that day, I can see your mind's kind of thinking about situations like that.
Exactly, because even today, I will see a lot of the patients that I took care of. Of course, some will shy away and not acknowledge, and being as a facility,
Yeah, you have to be private.
You have to be private, and there is confidentiality, because you have to make that person feel secure. But there are many who will come up and say, "Oh, Ellen, Miss Ellen, I'm doing great." You know, the stigma is still there, because obviously there's always a stigma,
Right.
whether you're depressed or schizophrenic or any kind of mental illness. You know, and as Prince Harry spoke of having to deal with his
That's right.
grief, he
That's right.
kept it inside for 20 years, and in 2
Yes.
years he just burst it out of. So at the BMC, that's what we try to do. You know, we give them compassion, we give them comfort, we give them that security.
I have a question.
Yes.
Maybe I have a statement first.
Okay.
I have a boasting statement. I am blessed to have been approached and personally become friends with many people that have had that treatment you're talking about. And when given the time to learn who they were, they had some of the most wonderful stories. And two of them I personally know have written a book. One is so awesome that I personally believe that she needs to have her book at all these doctor offices in areas like where you are, because she is a survivor, and her book is just a taste of Mommy Dearest,
Okay.
but yet better, because she's still fighting daily. She has 12 different personalities. 7 of them wrote the book. Okay, so, but she doesn't want to always have those personalities, so she's willing to be freed of all that. Okay, and then the other guy, he has a television show. You hear him brag about him all the time, and he is a national weightlifting champion. And it seemed like to me nobody was paying attention to him. I mean, he's had a show for 30-something years over here, mental health. Insight into mental health. He not only has guests on his show, but he actually has paperwork. He has researched, he has read, he's informing people, and he's standing there, and he's got his little twitches here and there, but yet he is giving out information. Hey, just because you have an issue or a challenge, you can still make something out of yourself. And so I'm proud to be a part of the book he wrote. Okay, now
And
he's written 7 of them now.
Wow.
Okay.
And I know who you're talking about.
You know who I'm
'cause
talking about?
yeah.
Okay, so a lot of people wouldn't put up the patience, and it got to the part where he would call me so many hours of the night, and I just want to throw the phone at him. But I knew that he was not put in my path by accident. And once he got the garbage out of what was really bothering him, now he's doing science fiction. And his writing is much better than his reading his book, which he's read a little bit to us. But his whole story is above and beyond what someone with schizophrenia thinks that they could obtain. You know, and so that's the kind of people. So all those people, they won't have anything to do with you or kind of shy. God's sending them my way so they can write their stories.
Exactly.
And I'm blessed because I have some of the best friends. I really do.
And it's,
dedicated friends.
And it's a coincidence when you mention Dana's name. His cousin works there.
Oh, I didn't know.
And he's an activity therapist, and we've been knowing each other for this length of time since I've been there, 15 years. So, you know, people always are put together for some reason. You know, they become strangers They start off as strangers, and then next thing you know, there's a connection to someone else. And at the BMC, you know, we've made connections with a lot of people, and they become family. The staff has become family. The patients can become family, even though you have to be able to know how to separate that work from that personal.
Okay, now we're going to slide into that second topic. Katiana, also sitting with me, I just found out prior to the show, Ellen has now written her book. She has also got a publisher. Now you have to give me the details because I don't know what you did.
Well,
how did this come about, and what is it about?
And like I said, you know, the connection and the symmetry, if you will, all does come for a reason. For years and years, you know, I've always loved reading. My mom loves reading. My sister wrote a book. You know, there's talent in the family, all kind of ways. And I've always loved the library. Outdoors is sporting events are my places to tune out and to relax. So I'd always seen this meeting that was going on behind the rear of the Barnes & Noble on Johnson Street, finding out what is going on. Come to find out what, I don't know, 40 years later, I'm a member there.
Wow.
I finally become a member. The book basically is called 4 Seasons of Love and Grief, a memoir. Obviously, it takes me through the 4 seasons, because as the seasons change, you know, the winters are dull and dreary and cold. The spring flowers come to life. So I go through that whole 4 seasons with my emotions, with my joy, with my frustration, my depression, my anxiety, even the silliness, things that I remember from my husband that we shared at the BMC. Because again, that was the connection. So had I left that place, and there are times I wanted to leave, you know, frustrated with the system and how everything works, but had I left,
everything works out.
Everything works out. There's no coincidence.
Okay, so you tell me you got this new book. You tell me you found a publisher. When is it going to be on the market?
Well, I signed with Christian Faith Publishing out of Pennsylvania, and they've started the editing process, but they're looking more towards the end of the year. Kind of a Christmas present.
Oh, about how big is it? Is it Christmas? Hey, that's a good time.
Yeah.
Well, this is amazing. We get to say, oh, Katiana, look at here. We have an author that I didn't even know about. Now, so I learned something else. I did not know that you were actually writing a book. But I figured that if you had something to do with the Writers Guild of Acadiana, which is there to encourage people, to give people information, and to have a place to come to and listen to other people's work, get the courage to write the story maybe you've always wanted to write. So you've written this book. Now that book would be a good book to be put in areas where people can be motivated, encouraged. Something in there is going to touch somebody's heart.
Someone, somewhere, whether it's one word, one sentence, it'll resonate with them. If their heart is open, it will.
Okay. Well, I'm going to take this moment, Katiana, to let you know that Ellen Threets has also recently become our new publicist for the Writers Guild of Acadiana. She's been, like I said, just magnified everywhere we go. And one of the board members, historian Jeanette Poole, we were coming up with, to volunteer to nominate somebody to consider for this position. We'd already been through 2 or 3 people who did what they did. We appreciated it, but they didn't have the commitment, and they admitted they wanted out. So it takes someone with a publicist, you have to believe, to be good at anything and what you're doing, right? Okay, this lady, Jeanette Poole came up with the idea. What did I think of? I went, wow, can't even believe I didn't think about it. Lord, Jeanette, she makes more meetings than you do, and as far as out in the public. And so I was real excited, so I wanted to give Jeanette the honor to be able to present you as a nominee at the Writers Guild board meeting. They were all excited. Now, when someone is interested in doing something, and they are let free to do what they can with the talent they have, it's amazing.
You let them go?
We let you go. And let me tell you what, this lady comes up with great ideas, new, like someone would say, new blood, new ideas, and they're all usable and encouraging. And so she's already got us out there in the public, created an awesome card. Now everybody wants a card just like you, but that unique idea. So we're not just saying this. Acadiana's, Writers Guild of Acadiana is very glad to have you on the team.
And
we're going to be boasting about you and your book coming up, okay?
Yes.
This is wonderful. So with you taking over the publicist job, everybody has a different interest, but you're the first one that I know that everything you have done gets me excited, and that's what it's about. The Writers Guild of Acadiana is a monthly meeting. We meet the last Tuesday of every month at the back of Barnes & Noble. And like Ellen was saying, sometimes people are sitting on the side just listening, and eventually that's the people who end up joining. Meanwhile, we're having a good time, and we share with having guest speakers every other month. And I kind of talked with Ellen, and she had kind of made a possible suggestion of different other people that we could come here and talk about. So that is something we want to work on. So you're the first to be able to get in today and still be able to talk about your work, which I get a lot of people in here to talk about their businesses, especially if it's going to help them in some way. Acadiana is known not just for great food, but great people, great talents, businesses in our backyard, people who haven't got credit that need credit, people like me who think that, what can I do? Well, I'll tell everybody about you. That'll help, you know.
Definitely.
Each of us do our part. We can make a difference, right?
Yes. And as our former Secretary of State says, it takes a village to raise.
It's true. I believe in that so much.
Everything has to be done together.
That's
Nothing
right.
can be done alone.
Oh, finally, everybody's trying to get on the same page, right? It's about time. That's about time. Well, I was raised, and I'm so blessed to have a lot of the morals that my grandmother, I didn't have a family unit, but I had a grandmother as my mentor, and she was so positive about so many areas that I'm the person I am today because of her not being negative in those days way back. And so I'm very grateful to be able to have this platform. Anybody that's interested in coming on my show, I run into people all the time, but there's always, I want the story inside the story. There's a lot of shows here, but I want to tell the story nobody else knows. And so if you're willing to come in, then we're really blessed to share the story. Now, we have, I don't know, around 2 minutes left in the show already, but I want to remind people that Ellen Thraitz is here. She works for a living. Yes, she's a mental health technician. She she's employed by the Abbeville General Hospital. This lady's busy, and she's now going to be a published author. Hopefully we'll have something by December.
Thank you so much.
And I'm so glad to have you coming in, and maybe we have you come back, and
Well, I would love to.
we could show pictures up there of that book that would go on the screen behind us, and we could do all this good talking. Okay, Ellen, with knowing that the end of the show is getting close, I brought everything up that I think that was important. Is there anything you would like to say to encourage anybody out there? This is your time to say anything that maybe we hadn't talked about.
No,
It's mainly about you.
Yeah, and I'm not complicated, and I think I make myself complicated, and human beings, we make our own selves complicated. But accept who you are, love your family, enjoy your work, and believe it or not, someone is looking out for you.
That's right. Right.
Yeah.
Well, with that said, that this is a television show where we always encourage people to come here and talk about what's going on in your life, and if it's a way that can motivate somebody else and encourage them, then this is where you need to be. We're very grateful to have the access to be able to take topics like mental health. I had no idea that I would meet so many people. I've read about a lot of different stories, but I never really met someone going through this mental challenge.
And people don't necessarily put themselves in there. 9 times out of 10, they've messed up, and their family is so concerned for them that they have to be put into the hospital. Yeah.
That is the hardest decision when you're at the bottom. You're at the bottom, just at the bottom.
And that's
Another
love.
way is to go up, and that's love. But when you've got a loving family that's still willing to fight for you, I know I've been in that situation with a friend, and it hurts, but that's where we learned the term tough love.
Tough love.
I didn't like that wording, but it's true, because boy, you have to tie your heart when you want to make the right decision. I also have a friend right now that's going through something. We all want to fix everything, especially when it's our children. I've done it. I paid for it. And now it comes down to, sooner or later, we just have to realize that you can only do what you can do. It's time for the person to want to change, which the last author, it was about making the change.
Making the change.
I want to thank you again for coming on the show. And I want to remind everybody that Louisiana Heartbeats is the story inside the story. Thank you for watching.